Welcome to Intelligence Gateway.
Angular Complete Guide, Lecture 4. In this lecture, we will learn about services and dependency injection, introduction to services, dependency injection, creating and using services, hierarchical injectors and providers, sharing data between components using services, Angular modules and providers. Introduction to services. Services are an essential part of any Angular application. They provide a way to organize and share code across multiple components, making it easier to maintain and scale your application over time. At their core, services are simply classes that can be injected into other parts of your application. This allows you to separate your business logic from your presentation logic, making it easier to test and debug your code. Services can also be used to share data between components, providing a central location for managing state and reducing the likelihood of bugs and inconsistencies. Dependency injection. Dependency injection is a design pattern used in software engineering that allows objects to receive their dependencies from an external source rather than creating them themselves. In Angular, dependency injection is used to provide services to components and other services. This allows for better separation of concerns and makes it easier to manage the complexity of large applications. Creating and using services. To create a service in Angular, we use the @injectable decorator. This decorator marks a class as a service and allows us to inject it into other components or services. We can then use the constructor of our component or service to inject the service we created. Once we've created our service, we can use it in our components by injecting it into the constructor. This gives us access to all the methods and properties of the service. We can also use dependency injection to inject other services into our service if needed. Hierarchical injectors and providers. Hierarchical injectors and providers are a key concept in Angular development. They allow for components to inherit services from parent components, making it easier to manage dependencies and share data. For example, imagine you have a parent component that has a service for managing user authentication. If you have child components that also need to access this service, you can simply inject it into the child components and they will inherit the same instance of the service provided by that. This makes it much easier to manage dependencies and ensures that all components are using the same instance of the service. Sharing data between components using services. One of the most important concepts in Angular is the ability to share data between components using services. Services act as a middleman between components, allowing them to communicate with each other without having to know about each other's implementation details. For example, imagine you have a shopping cart component and a product list component. When a user adds a product to their cart, you want the shopping cart component to update with the new item. By using a service to share data between these two components, you can easily achieve this functionality without having to tightly couple the two components together. Angular modules and providers. Angular modules and providers are essential components of building a modular and scalable architecture for Angular applications. Modules help organize an application into cohesive blocks of functionality, while providers allow components to share services and data across the application. Together, they provide a powerful toolset for building complex, maintainable applications. Conclusion. In conclusion, services and dependency injection play crucial roles in modern software development, providing several benefits and promoting best practices. Services are essential components that encapsulate specific functionalities and provide reusable and modular code. They help organize and structure an application by separating concerns and promoting a single responsibility principle. Services can be shared across different parts of an application, promoting code reusability and making it easier to maintain and update. Dependency injection is a design pattern and technique used to manage the dependencies of an application. It involves providing the required dependencies to a class or component from an external source, rather than having the class create or manage them internally. This approach promotes loose, coupling between components and improves testability, as dependencies can be easily replaced with mocks or stubs during unit testing. By using dependency injection, applications become more flexible, extensible, and modular. Changes in dependencies can be handled without modifying the dependent components, reducing the impact of changes and making the codebase more maintainable. D also promotes inversion of control IOP, where the control flow of an application is managed by a higher-level container or framework, allowing for better decoupling and separation of concerns. Some of the key advantages of using services and dependency injection include: 1. Reusability. Services promote code reusability by encapsulating specific functionality that can be shared across different parts of an application. 2. Modularity. Services help modularize an application by separating concerns and promoting a single responsibility principle, making the codebase more maintainable and easier to understand. 3. Testability. Dependency injection improves testability by allowing dependencies to be easily replaced with mocks or stubs during unit testing, enabling more comprehensive and isolated testing of components. 4. Flexibility. Dependency injection makes applications more flexible and extensible by decoupling components and reducing the impact of changes in dependencies. It allows for easier swapping or updating of dependencies without modifying the dependent components. 5. Scalability. Services and dependency injection facilitate scalability by promoting loose coupling and modular design. They enable the addition or removal of components without affecting the entire system, making it easier to scale applications as needed. In summary, services and dependency injection are fundamental concepts in modern software development. They provide a range of benefits, including improved code reusability, modularity, testability, flexibility, and scalability. By adopting these practices, developers can build robust, maintainable, and extensible applications that are easier to manage and evolve over time.
Thanks for watching. For more information, like, comment, and subscribe our channel.